Hello and welcome to the Knock on KCLR and Scoreline.ie's weekly rugby podcast. We've got the full house this evening to talk rugby. Johnny Tobin from Tullow, James Blanchfield from Kilkenny and Tom Crotty from Carlow. Men, how's it going?
Well, Stephen, how are you?
He's all good.
Very well, Stephen. Thanks. Yourself?
Not too bad. There was a delay there getting that answer. He must be all on dodgy phone lines, but it's...
I'm not talking to Tom.
Great.
The nerves are settling in for the lads.
Yeah.
For the listeners who don't know what we're talking about, there's a huge big derby on Sunday, the Provincial Towns Cup, Kilkenny and Carlow. Kilkenny hosting Carlow and Fookstown in the quarter-finals. It's a nice little tasty derby to look forward to as well. We'll be previewing it on the show today. We'll be talking to James, of course, as well about staying up in Division 1A. We'll talk a bit about Tullow Rugby as well, the ladies and men's teams, and Ireland-Scotland. We'll have a look back at that as well and how we thought the Six Nations went in general. But yeah, plenty to talk about. We'll start with you, James, as we do every week with Kilkenny. Job done against Wicklow. Wicklow a lot poorer, I would have thought, than, I would have thought to be a bit more of a game in it.
Yeah, look at kind of when I arrived in Carlow on Sunday, Wicklow had flags up all around the pitch and they had a bus there, a party bus and all this kind of stuff. I don't mean to be disrespectful to them, but that kind of was a warning shot to us that these guys kind of felt they had a game won before the ball was kicked. And kind of feedback from that I'm kind of hearing along the grapevine is that it kind of wound our lads up a little bit as well. But when we went out to the pitch, probably the first 2 or 3 minutes, Wicklow were threatening our line and just think, bang, we just clicked into gear. And the first gap that we got, we just broke them down under the stand on the left-hand side, playing down towards the town. And I think from then on, we just had them beaten in all departments. Everything we touched turned to gold. Our lads were super. I think Wicklow's game plan probably played into our hands a little bit as well. I kind of feel that their game plan exceeded their team's limitations, if you know what I mean. And they were looking to constantly play to the wing and hit the wing. And they had a couple of good wingers there. And I know, Johnny, you were saying they were missing probably their main man as well. He was off on international duty with the Irish under-20s, I think. But they just constantly, I believe that Wicklow played a game plan that exceeded their limitations. And I think it played into our hands and it made it very easy for us to defend because their personnel, though they were good rugby players like Niall Earls is fantastic out half. But I feel kind of maybe what was outside him, the game plan that they were trying to play just didn't suit the resources that they had. And our lads were just exceptional. Like it's we can't pick one player who stood out more than another player. Everyone was super from number 1 through to number 22 that came on. Hugh Corkery was off the tee. He just launched penalties from all around the park in the first half. Granted, he was assisted by a very strong wind. The radar was on, which is the hardest part, and he clipped over a few penalties and just kept the scoreboard ticking. Joe Manuel in the centre was like Joe Manuel of 2015 all over again. He was picking ball. We had him kind of sitting in the backfield because we knew Wicklow were going to kick, and he won ball and had a lot of space to run into, and the sort of player that it takes a few players to stop him. Dave O'Connor was unbelievable. We were missing Gary Dunn. That's not here nor there. We were missing Conor Dempsey or Puddin, and you know what? We're absolutely thrilled. We came out of Wicklow. We came out of Carlow last Sunday with a 32 points to 7 win. We exceeded all of our odds. I said it to Tom walking in and said it to Richard White walking in as well. We're not good enough here. And I genuinely believe that. And I swallowed a pill after the game where I was kind of going, these guys proved me wrong. They proved an awful lot of people in Kilkenny wrong last Sunday with how they played in Carlow. Because everything we did was right. We had Jake Prattley at number 9. He was on song. We had Jake MacDonald at out half. He was excellent. Joe and Podge in the centre, Jack Walsh. Everyone was just focused on what needed to be done last Sunday to keep us in the division. An awful lot of people are saying that it's the difference between 1A and 1B. I don't think that. I think just everything that we touched last Sunday worked for us. And like Johnny and Tom were there. I don't know how they feel about it, but our work rate was good. We were dominated. We dominated the breakdown. The referee was excellent, albeit he was very happy to give out cards. He got a lot of assistance off one of his touch judges as well, who was a little bit, shall I say, pedantic about a few bits and pieces. But by and large, they were very, very fair. We're just delighted to come out with a win and stay in Division 1A. The big thing for us now is Cup, but we also need to keep one eye on next season and try and get Kilkenny guys who are playing elsewhere back. There's a large number of Kilkenny players playing in Old Wesley, playing all around Dublin, so we need to try and get those guys back into the mix for us as well. But look at it's as a whole. And I think you've been hearing me all season harping on about injuries and COVID and lads not being available. In the last 6 weeks, the last 5 weeks, we've had all of our players available, and we've proved what we can do when we have our full squad available to us. We're every bit as good as any team in 1A, and with the squad that we have, when they're available, there's no reason why we shouldn't be a top 4 team. And if we can get a couple of players back in from outside, I don't see any reason why we couldn't be challenging for league honours next year.
Now, the lessons learned, Tom Crotty, for don't bring the party bus to Fookstown on Sunday. Go in with the heads down, pretend that you're bet before he's going the gate. Don't give Kilkenny anything to go on at all.
Look, a little bit of tongue in cheek in that as well, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It did wind us up a little bit when we saw all the flags up around the pitch. And we were kind of going, okay, that's a statement, and we need to answer that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. What motivation works, whatever works. Johnny, what do you think of the game as a neutral?
I think Kilkenny were very, very good in the first 40, but then it also took them another 26, 27 minutes to score again, where there was no score in the game. So, look, they were really, really good in the first 40, absolutely. But Wicklow threw nothing really to offer. You know, one-off runners, easy out penalties, soft in the contact area. Everything Kilkenny were doing was putting a platform for them. I think you'll find out the difference between Division 1A and 1B this Sunday. Because Carlow are a different level than Wicklow, I feel. And I actually said it to Tom at the gate, I actually can't believe both Carlow and Wicklow or Tullow lost to Wicklow twice this year. Yeah. Looking at them play Kilkenny.
Carlow will be much stronger in the centre and the wings. Carlow are very strong in the centre and the wing. Carlow, they're very, very strong. They're two centres. One of them, I don't know.
Yeah,
one of them.
I actually think one of the best rugby players I'd say in the division, isn't actually able to play for Carlow because he works on the weekends, and that's Sean Quinlan. Sean Quinlan is an outstanding rugby player. He plays in the centre for me in the college. He's a game changer, and he's not even available for them. And that's the strength and depth Carlow have at the moment. So
the young lad of the Crotty is there now. He's all right.
Yeah, well, look, I think you'll find out the difference in 1A, 1B this Sunday.
Shall we preview that game now? Shall we walk straight into it? We're doing live commentary for anyone listening of that game on KCLR, on air and online, with thanks to McDonald's in Kilkenny. Bring you every kick, ruck, everything on the day. Myself and Johnny Tobin are on duty that day. Tom, what did you make of Kilkenny against Wicklow last weekend? As objective as you can.
Oh no, I'll be honest. I mean, this is our job for when we're on. This is to give our opinion. I thought Kilkenny were a superior team from the minute. James is saying about everything they touched turned to goal, but I have an honest belief that if you're playing well and you're focused and things are going right, you get the bounce of the ball. And Kilkenny got every bounce of the ball. They made it themselves. I thought they were very strong across the park. The pack were good. That scrum half you have really, really, really good. The backs, your kicking game was exceptional. Lineouts were sturdy and very solid with Carter there. And, I think Wicklow were outplayed in every department. I think they were actually very poor. And that's not taken away from Kilkenny because Kilkenny were good. It's like us. What we saw on Sunday is what we're going to be playing on this Sunday, and there's absolutely nothing you take for granted playing Kilkenny. I think we know we're in a game. We know if we don't play well, we'll lose the game. Simple as that. We have to go in and give it everything we've got. Like we've said that, we've nothing to lose. We've had a good season. We know where we went wrong in certain areas. Our club is running well. We've a good panel there at the moment. We would have liked to finish in the top 2. We're disappointed that we didn't, especially after seeing the game on Sunday. We would have liked to be in that position, but we weren't. Look, we weren't good enough, or we didn't. We know where we went wrong during the season. But as I say, Sunday it's cup rugby. Jesus, whatever about playing Kilkenny at home, going to Folkestown is a huge ask. But the lads know that they are what's in front of them. To be honest, they didn't even need to see that game because we know exactly what Kilkenny have, and they've a really solid team. From 1 to 15, and they have a good bench as well. So James knows that it's like, well, nobody will take it for granted, and I'm sure the same for them.
You can't be cup rugby. I think we were up watching. I went up to watch you against Longford. And, the message that I kind of said to you was a lot of people, and Richard White and John White and a couple of people that you talk to occasionally, was you're so athletic. Carlow are a hugely athletic team, and they have explosiveness from the whole way across the back line. They have 2 very good centres, 2 absolutely electric wingers, an experienced full back there who's going to kick his penalties all day. I'm expecting actually a really close match this Sunday. I don't think it's going to be anything like what we saw last Sunday between ourselves and Wicklow. I think it's going to be a much tighter, much cagier affair. Coming out after watching you against Longford, that was a game that a Carlow team 2 years ago would have lost. Well, I won't say 2 years ago because Ashmore was coaching, but maybe 3 or 4 years ago, that it's a game Carlow would have probably lost.
Ashmore was coaching 4 years ago.
Was it? Whatever, anyway. But I think that showed that Carlow have incredible resilience, and that Carlow team were absolutely bullied around the park by that Longford team, but still always stayed. I think when he went 2 scores down, he stayed chipping away, and the resilience paid off in the last play of the game when he went over in the corner. And we'd be very afraid of you coming down this Sunday now, to be honest.
It's just funny that you said it's cup rugby and you can't judge anything. If you look at both leagues, Mullingar and Clondalkin, one of them teams is guaranteed a semi-final of the cup.
Yeah.
Dundalk, bottom of 1B or 1A, are in a quarter-final of the cup.
It goes out the window.
Cup rugby is bizarre. Clondalkin or Mullingar have been beaten comfortably by most teams in Division 1B, and then they're one of them is going to be in a semi-final of the Towns Cup.
Yeah. Nobody would have seen Eden Derry beating Kildare.
Yeah, well, on that, I missed that podcast the following week, but the out half for Kildare plays with me in the college. He popped his shoulder out of place 3 minutes into the game, and he's the winning and losing of a game for you. He's definitely worth. He's a Willie Canavan of what Tullow was 10 years ago. He's worth 9 to 12 points every game.
We very, very nearly lost against Eden Derry. That's cup rugby.
Yeah.
We had to work exceptionally hard to beat Eden Derry. I spoke to Wes Carter when he came off last Sunday, and I said, Jesus, Wes, that was brilliant. And he said it was the last 20 minutes against Eden Derry. He said that's what he puts last Sunday's win down to, because the lads had to put their shoulders to the wheel to actually, the last 20 minutes was attrition where Eden Derry launched everything at him. We held them out. But
Eden Derry's a very hard place to go. It's a long travel.
I know, but they love cup. But that's cup rugby for you. We've all heard of the cup classics where 2 good teams go head to head with one another and it ends up 3-0. Well,
I tell you, we're laughing about you saying about Mullingar and Clondalkin. I think Mullingar are very, very close to being a really good team.
They're on the right path.
They beat us in Carlow, and they beat us they just outplayed us.
Yeah.
But
they're a team
they genuinely have a good pack. When their coach went in as went back as scrum half he changed the whole game, and like they rose to the occasion. Like they came to Carlow and they knew they had to win to stay up, to stay in contention, to stay up.
Yeah.
And they did. They turned their game at Christmas. And we were saying, like, of all the teams of that level, would you like to play Mullingar again in the cup? We said no.
Oh, absolutely not.
We would have taken Longford and taken Navan any time over playing Mullingar.
Yeah. But
it is strange to say that one of them is going to a semi-final of a Towns Cup.
Yeah, they could play really well this Sunday, and the next 2, 3, 4 Sundays they're out of the picture, and then they come back and upset the whole thing by beating Yee at home or something like that. Like if they got that management right, because for the last maybe 5 years they haven't been good on the road, they don't feel a second, so they come one loaded team. So if they got that management right of filling both teams on the travel, I'd say there'd be a serious outfit in the next couple of years.
I always found Mullingar to be very cyclical, that they go through a cycle of being very good, and then they lose a gang of players and they tip off, and then they come back and they go again. They're a club that are punching way below their weight, like, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have a good catchment area there for players as well. But they don't, the same sort of catchment area, the equivalent of being Tullow. I don't know what.
But they'll be bursting. Like, regardless what happens at Kilkenny Sunday or elsewhere, Mullingar will be bursting to get to a cup semi-final and get to a cup final.
Yeah, I think Clondalk and Mullingar will be an interesting game.
I can see
I can see it actually being. I can see a lot of scores in it, but it's still being very tight. I can see a lot of scores in it because they're throwing caution to the wind. Both sides are, and their both last 2 games have been very, very positive for them. So
I think if Mullingar's defence goes the way they defended against us, they'll definitely beat Clondalk.
Yeah,
because they buried us. They buried us, and actually, what they did was eventually frustrated us.
That's one thing I found Kilkenny done to Wicklow very well last week. Kilkenny's defence last week was very, very good.
Very strong.
And it just disrupted everything Wicklow were trying to do in the early stages.
But that's back to my point, is where Wicklow were trying to play a game plan that exceeded their limitations.
Everything was to try to get out to the fringe.
Yeah, it was very easy for us to defend because, no disrespect to their players, they didn't have the skill set to play the game plan. Barring Niall Earls, I felt the rest of them didn't have the skill set to play the game they were trying to play.
No, for sure. And I was speaking to Liam Caddy about during the week, and he said everything we done was just on point. Everything was on point. It was one of them days where in defence everything just went absolutely superb for Kilkenny.
Yeah.
No,
but just on Mullingar, like the point of Mullingar had a lot of experience. Like, they have TC there as their coach, and he's playing scrum half as well. And they have Lamaki Viapolo, the number 8 now. Yeah, he's had more clubs than Tiger Woods, but he's a good guy, and he knows how to play rugby, and he's probably not as fit as he used to be and as fast to get around the pitch as he used to be. But having a fella like those 2 guys in Cup Rugby, TC's won cups with Dundalk, hasn't he? He's won a league with Dundalk. He got them up senior. They're important fellas to have in Cup Rugby. They could be the difference between winning and losing.
That number 8 had a cracking game in Carlow. Absolute cracking game.
Lovely rugby player.
And he is fit. He's lost his pace, but he's seriously fit. Like, when we went up to Mullingar, he was out warming up. He was out warming up about an hour and a half before the game, just doing his stretching. And you could see that he's managing his body because he should be fit by now.
A lot of it though is he's very, very smart.
And the age that he is. Yeah, he is. He's cute.
He's playing very smart rugby. He's not going into the carries he used to go into. He's looking to get on a soft shoulder rather than going through a shoulder.
Yeah. He's an incredibly nice fella as well.
He's lovely.
Yeah.
There's a Gory and Ashburn in the other match, so one of those 2 are going to be out of the cup as well this weekend, so there's going to be a few casualties.
Seems to be all the teams that were struggling in the league are going really well in the cup.
I know, and this is back to my point about the Dublin teams in the Leinster League, that the Dublin teams are probably, I made a comment a few months ago on this podcast, that we let the Dublin teams go back senior, the Monkstown, the Bectors and these, and let's get it back to the old tradition Leinster League. Not that they're not welcoming it, but they have such an advantage over everyone else through all of the numbers that they have, and the money that they have behind them, that a lot of the provincial clubs can't compete with them. I think we see the best of the provincial teams when it comes to cup rugby, because it's cup rugby and we're playing against other provincial teams who are in the very same boat as us and who have the very same kind of resource issues as us and the very same kind of fighting the same issues that the metro clubs aren't fighting.
Absolutely,
yeah.
So we're looking forward to it anyway, lads.
I'll text you through the team sheet there tonight, Tom. You text me.
It'll be all backwards.
There's no great shakes at our. Well, we're still missing two from the last day.
Right.
Both on holidays.
All right.
Paddy Mackey, the Australian's gone on holidays. Holiday of a lifetime. He had that book way before Towns Cup was even spoken of. So he hadn't even arrived in the country and hadn't come into us at that stage in the holiday book. And I'd say if he's such a good club man, he's been an absolute stalwart in the club so far this year. Just a little legend already. I'd say if he had a chance, he'd probably stay and play the game. But no, to be honest. But look,
no, we're looking forward to it. We'll give you a nice welcome to Fookstown, and the draws on in the club after it as well. And look at whatever way it goes.
We know that. Look, we're trying to get the bus down to get the lads down for a few pints. So I mean, we're not having a party bus. They're having a bus to come down to as towns.
I might go home with you on it, Tom.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome.
Might leave the van in Kilkenny and get it on Monday.
Yeah, well, look. The good thing about Towns Cup is it brings people to your club, and it's not just the advantage on the pitch of having a home draw. It's the advantage to the club because it's such a phenomenal tournament. There is no other. I don't sugar. There is no other tournament like it in the country. It is still and should be promoted and even given more respect because I think going forward clubs need to support this tournament. It's always been the premier tournament. Like I know everybody loves the league and you want to be doing this and you want to be doing that, but Johnny, you went through it. Like when you won it that time, I mean, you have to say that, your club must have been just so ecstatic. It is something really
no
special.
Greater feeling.
Legends are made in cup rugby, lads. Legends are made like when you win a cup, like it's that cup team is remembered. Like we're doing a thing in the club this week. We're actually just doing a little bit of reminiscing on our cup teams, winning and losing cup teams. But like you look back to 86, guys off the 86 team are still being revered. Guys off the 55 and 57 team, still Gaffney, and all these guys. There's Andy Henderson and Jack Nutley. They're still remembered. Like they're still personalities in the club in Kilkenny whose names are synonymous with it. The 86 team, the 01 and 02 or the 01 and 02 teams. It's but nobody talks about the teams that won the league. They're always talking about the team that won the cup.
Well, that's what I said. Somebody asked me.
We have a shrine in the club to the team that won the cup.
But sure, that's right. They should be proud and they should be legends for life.
They're printed on a slate as you go in the door on the left-hand side. The women who won the Paul Flood Cup and the men who won the Towns Cup that year, the double. They're printed on two big slates up on the wall. It's incredible to see it. Like there's some young fellas in the club. There's some lads actually won a Towns Cup at Tullow who were here maybe only a year or two or three. Won a Towns Cup at Tullow and have done something phenomenal. That lads like the Red Lad and Sprock and Cody and John O'Brien and all these lads who have given their life to win one, never got one, And there's lads come in and just turn it on its head.
It used to be such an important thing. It was so revered that the medals were only given to those who were on the pitch, and those who, if you didn't finish, whoever finished on the day got the medals, and if you had started and you came off, you didn't get your medal.
Scored 6 tries.
And only those people who actually played in the game got the medal. So if you had your 5 subs and you only brought home 1 sub, the 4 subs didn't get any medal. That's how important it was for it.
It's funny.
Like somebody said when we got drawn to Kenny, what do you think the gist is? There's a simple fact with this is you're going to play. You have to play the best to win this. And whether you meet Kilkenny in a final or you meet them now, nobody ever remembers who came second.
No.
You only remember when you win. Because
Yeah.
the only people that ever remember, just laughing, the only people ever remember who came second was the lads who came second and the lads who beat them.
Yeah.
Everybody
we're
else
still
forgot.
sore.
If I said
We're
to you
still
who played
sore about
such and such a
15.
final, they won't remember.
14 and 15, you know, like they were, like we're still hurting about losing Ashbourne and Enniscorthy 2 cup finals we should have won. You know,
the Enniscorthy one you should have won. The one
we
up
blew
in Kildare.
We blew that, you know. We blew Ashbourne as well when they were down to 13 men. But you know, we remember all of the nuance and the pain that we went through because of it. But it's funny, like I remember having a conversation with Martin Dunphy and Carlow Donkeys years ago. And I said, who was the best player you ever played against, Martin? And he said, Paddy Red MacDonald at Kilkenny. But he said, boy, Jason, the best player I ever played against, never to win a Towns Cup. You know, that's kind of, I know if I was to speak to the Raid, he would probably say, geez, I would always love the cup medal. We got a seconds cup in his very last game. There's so many players out there that hurt because they haven't won one as well, you know, and feel that they could have won one or two. It's and only a select few clubs can win it. Like there's clubs in Leinster that would kill to get into a Towns Cup semi-final, quarter-final that never have been there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an absolutely brilliant tournament. I'll never forget when we beat Portlaoise in Carlow back. I think it was 2001, wasn't it? Dave McMahon was brought in because Barry Daly, who had been out after us all year, fractured his ankle or damaged his ankle at training at a team run the night before the match. So Dave McMahon was brought up off our seconds. He clipped a penalty against the wind from the halfway line to win the match for us. He's written into Kilkenny legendary forever, but as is Barry Daly because he got us there, you know. You know, and sometimes that's the harsh thing about Cup Rugby is you can only name 20. You know, so there's a lot of people who were part of the team throughout the league and part of the Cup campaign who mightn't be part of the final 20 that go on to win it or be in the final squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the year we won the Towns Cup, we had 4 out halves.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, we'd Willie Canavan was first, tore both biceps. We had
that's right.
Ross Hines from Arklow, who was playing with us, done his knee. Then we had Ryan O'Neill then for a short stint. Then Ryan went back out to the wing, and then Willie Cass played out half.
So, it's mad.
We had, and normally if you put a Tullow team on a field and you hadn't got a Canavan on out half, you'd say, all right, we're in trouble here.
That's true.
Boys, lads, I need
to been that way for God knows how long.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll abuse each other over the whitewash on Sunday, but you know, when it's all said and done, there's going to be a winner of it, and best of luck. Hopefully, it's us, whoever's in the pot for the semi-final draw.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast, James.
Thanks, lads.
And,
take care.
Good luck.
There's no talking about me now when I'm gone.
Yeah. Oh no, not a bit.
Never talk.
Good luck.
James Blanchfield there from Kilkenny Rugby Club is just just dropped off the podcast there now. Still joined by Johnny Tobin and Tom Crotty. Yeah, so that's the preview done. Sure, we'll see what happens on Sunday. Myself and Johnny be calling the match anyway from the sideline, so you won't miss
Straight down the middle, Tom.
Straight down the middle, Tom. Yeah, every
time.
It
right down the middle.
Yeah, well, we first busy week. Well, I have anyway because I've been and we have. The girls, of course, on Friday night. I can't forget them. They're playing at 7 o'clock in Carlow, and then we have our seconds are playing Enniscorthy seconds in Kilkenny or in Enniscorthy at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and then we go home, get a couple hours kip, and we have Carlow Kilkenny thirds are playing at 12 o'clock in Oak Park, and then let's jump in the car and head down to the big game.
It's just a tad busy, Tom. Jenny, you
just
kept going.
Just a tad busy. Well, isn't it great? With 3 teams out on the one weekend, it's fantastic. So,
absolutely. Speaking of the big bus,
we'll have rugby being played.
Surely is.
Yeah.
We'll have our big blue bus, our outside broadcast unit in Folkestown anyway, so you won't miss us. It's like an ice cream van. It sticks out like a sore at home.
We won't be selling ice cream, though, people.
Plenty good music there, Steve, and keeps going, you know.
Absolutely.
Party atmosphere on the sideline.
Bang on the window at myself and Johnny. We'll be under pressure. Johnny, you have a couple of things going on at the club. Tullow lads are into the plate, and the ladies had a big win in the Paul Flood last week as well. And you're looking for a manager as well.
Yeah. It's a big few weeks out here, yeah. I'm sitting out here in the van right now, doing a session there earlier. But yeah, the ladies, we go to them first. They had a very convincing win. They beat Bralbriggan. I think it was 60-0 at half time. So what they done then was the Tullow subs mixed in with some of the Balbriggan girls because they were short, and they just played a game then for another 20 or 30 minutes. Give everyone a run out. Tullow lads play Naas here on Sunday in the plate. Big game as well, obviously, with Morris finishing up at the end of the year. So every game now could potentially be his last one. And then the seconds are playing here, and I can't remember for the life of me who the seconds are playing here on Saturday, but they're playing here Saturday at 3:00 in the seconds cup. They're going quite well at the moment. I think, if you look at our seconds team, Frank Murphy is on it, Aho Bloomfield is on it, Willie Cass is on it.
Wow.
Some good names there,
yeah.
mixing around in the seconds team. But there's a good mixture of youth still there as well. A few of the 18.5s are up there representing the youth side, playing with them. Jack Fitzgerald, Fia Kavanagh, Adam Johnson, and these lads. So, look at it. It's great to see rugby still being played in middle of March, end of March. But yeah, the news was announced, I suppose, yesterday or the day before on social media for the club that we're looking for a new head coach next season. You can either ring Tom Pert or email the club website at info@tullowrfc.com and with your CV if you're interested for the job. But yeah, it's Morris rang me after the Towns Cup game. I was coming out of the cinema and told me that he was finishing up with the club and said thanks for our help and everything else over the last few years. Swear to God, it was like someone died out here.
Yeah. He's well liked. He's been great to us, in fairness, in the radio as well. Anytime we're looking for him, he's the most club man you'll ever get. Like, he's from Wexford and he gives absolutely everything to this place. Like, he comes out anytime they're the 18.5s that they want, anytime 14s, 15s, 16s, anybody wants him, he'll come work with them. He's here 3 nights a week and a game on a Sunday. He's always on the phone all week to try organise stuff, sort stuff out for the club. He's given back so much time and energy outside of the role of what you're expected. Big shoes to fill. The only thing I would say is you probably have to start with a blank canvas because you won't get another Morris. He's next level, and wherever he decides to go, they're a very, very lucky club. So I suppose just from Tullow, we'd like to wish him the very best luck in whatever the future holds for him.
Absolutely.
Because he's been great for us.
Marshall was a great player when he was over with us, and came up and played, and he gave his heart and soul to Carlow when he was with Carlow, and then went on and did a great job with Gias, in Tullow. And he's a damn good coach.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And a lovely lad to bat, so wish him the best of luck too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, outside of his rugby, like, you can get some of the best coaches in the world to coach you. But Morris is, like, for me personally, I wouldn't be in a position I am coaching wise now this year if it wasn't for working with Morris 5, 6, 7 years ago and learning off him and ringing him. And God, there were stages I had his head wrecked. I'd say, what do you think about going here? What do you think about you doing this? What do you think about doing that? And he'd always give you his opinion, and he'd always give you very, very sound advice. So hopefully we stay in touch because I'll miss him out here. He's a big help out here.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good, Johnny. It's a nice tribute to him. Obviously, a very well-liked man in the club and that. And like you said, whoever gets him next, he says, will be all the better for it as well. So we'll wish Morris all the best.
For sure, yeah.
And you can get in touch with James, or not James, with Johnny, or the club, if you're interested or you hear of, or you know anyone that might be interested in that head coach role there in Tullow. We're going to move on now to international stuff. We're going to have a look at the highlights of the Ireland-Scotland match, lads. So I suppose in general, job done. England didn't do us a favour on the night, but sure, what do you expect? France were brilliant. That was a whole other different game as well. But the Irish game, what do you think of it?
It was all right.
Where do you want to go, Tom?
I thought, we'll just say job done. Because to be honest, I thought we played well in parts. Scotland weren't particularly good either. I don't know. I'd have issues to where we're at. I think we're developing a really developed team. It's probably better that we're the way we are now, and not to have gone through and be the perfect team coming with the World Cup coming, because every time we seem to peak at this stage, then we go make a balls of it the following year. Yeah, we just make a balls of it. So I think we're there. We have issues with different things. Our scrum, our lineups, little issues, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, like 10 years time or 20 years time, it'll just be this season will be marked down as we won the Triple Crown, and there'll be out lads like me going, "Oh, I remember the year we won. It was great." So look, it's a part of history now. I think we did the job. We really did the job.
Yeah. But like, lads, you have to look outside of us for this game, especially. This Scottish camp is very, very loose. They were on a beer session before this game. They have zero respect for their coaches. They have an arrogance about them that they're brilliant even when they get beat. Stuart Hogg felt like they should have won this game. 26-5. How do you feel like you should have won this game? 26-24, maybe you can have an opinion. But like, this is, I don't know.
Lots of discipline issues.
Apart from the inside out.
Like Finn Russell's already been in trouble before for, not sticking to, rules.
But your captain is doing it. Like, Stuart Hogg is the lad you looked at to lead you. And he's going out on the sauce with him too. Like,
it's just,
like, look at, obviously, we don't know the ins and outs. And you're not in that level of having an opinion, I suppose, on what they do and what they don't do. But like, in relation to a performance from Ireland, it was average. They got the job done. They couldn't do any more. They got the bonus point, 5 points. Everything was in England's hands then to see if they won the Six Nations. But we were never going to win a Six Nations. France were never going to lose to England.
No,
that's true. We should have beaten France.
France's time.
You can't. Yeah, you can't rely on France. You can't rely on between England and France to win you a Grand Slam, or bring you not a Grand Slam to win you the championship. You just can't. It just doesn't happen.
You have to do enough yourself in your own games.
Yeah, and that's look. I said it earlier. We felt we should have performed better. We didn't. So we know where we went wrong. We didn't deserve to win to get to the. So it's like that at all levels, and this is one, like, we didn't do enough at it to win a Grand Slam or to win the championship. So,
for sure,
that's what we have to improve. Yeah,
France showed
you have to laugh as well. Eddie Jones after the game. The next time we play here, we'll be playing for the World Cup final.
Arrogance.
What planet is that man on?
As good as France were, though, as well, they did show vulnerabilities as well. They were quite nervous at the start of that England match, and a lot of mistakes early on, and even against us, which is good to see as well, that they're human.
But 3 years ago, the French media had them row off as they were, what did they call them? Some Waterloo or something. They call them something stupid anyway in the paper as an embarrassment to French rugby. Like, there must be an awful lot of pressure on them to get a result every week, to stay up at that level, to represent your nation at probably your main sport, like.
Well, the French are a strange race, though, Johnny, because they go out and they expect you to be all and end all for your club, and you have to play week in, week out for your club, and you barely get time to scratch your backside, and you're playing international, and then they all turn on you because you're not performing at international level. So the French just have such expectations. I mean, at least our lads get
they set their standards very, very high.
And our lads get a break. Like, their lads don't get a break. They're playing week in, week out. Like, they'll all be finished. They'll be back out this weekend, hammer and tongs. And they'll be and if they don't play, and you know what? If they don't play well for their club, they'll be forgetting about Grand Slams. The one they'll be giving out. It won't matter that you won the Grand Slam because you didn't perform.
Look at our lads there.
Our lads
are gone on a week's holidays or 2 weeks holidays.
Yeah, the international.
Conor Murray's over in Dubai. He played what, 10 minutes against Scotland, did he? He's in Dubai.
He's getting old too. He's getting old too. Like like yourself, Johnny.
He needs the sun, Tom. Yeah, he needs the sun.
Now I tell you,
this is what we're dealing with. Like, this is what you're up against. They're not being minded. They're not being monitored, and then they wonder why they're failing. Like,
yeah.
But I felt the atmosphere wasn't. I mean, they're talking about atmosphere where we were in the stand was grand. It was just about all right. But other people who spoke to just didn't have the same buzz. I don't know what it is at the moment. Whether it's the type of supporters coming to us. Like, there was great buzz around the grounds. We had great crack beforehand. Going to the bars and having a pint outside, and all the atmosphere was leading to a great game. Then we went in, and it was like sort of the game.
Oh, we've gone there, Tom. Tom's frozen on us, Johnny. Yeah, he's frozen there mid. Oh, you're back, Tom. There you are.
Playing music and statues, Tom, are you?
Yeah, you can go ahead, Tom. There, repeat your point. Gone again, Johnny. Oh, you're in and out there, Tom.
He's doing robotic movements.
That's broadcasting for you folks. The internet. There you are now. Tom's out in the birdhouse there.
He's like that out in the island. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Am I back in?
I can. Tom, you were talking about the atmosphere. It was great around the grounds, but just it wasn't the same inside.
No. And I'll tell you what was a little disappointing, and people probably shoot me for this, but after they got presented with the trophy, and the team, like, there was two young fellas, I think, what you call them, the fullback, and I can't remember who was with them, started walking around the pitch. It was Hugo Keenan and somebody else, I can't remember. And then followed by what was it after that came? Peter O'Mahony and his daughter. And they walked the whole way around the ground and waved to everybody. Nobody else did. Johnny ran across the pitch and went to the other side, went to one corner. But the team as a whole, with the trophy, didn't go around.
The pitch.
Huh?
I did not run across the pitch.
Got in trouble the last time with that, Johnny.
Well, he's gone again.
Man, Tom, this is the old internet's getting the better of you there, Tom.
It's a great photo of him, though, in fairness.
Yeah, it's frozen. For anyone, you can watch. Anyone that's listening to the podcast on Spotify or whatever, you can watch it on YouTube as well if you want to see the visuals of Tom frozen in his backyard there, or wherever it is.
Tom Crotty available.
Yeah, I can order them. There he is. He's back again. But normally, like even with Leinster, Tom, you see that if Leinster win Highland Cup match, they do a lap of the pitch, even just in a normal, knockout.
It's only respect the people who've paid their good money,
Yeah.
Well, especially now that they do. And you looked at the 20s when the one that had a fantastic. The atmosphere was. The sun went down. He was at both games, and he just said the atmosphere in Cork was electric. And the team went around. I know they have a lot of family with them and everything else, but they went around straight away. Went around and thanked everybody because they've had phenomenal support. But when people are paying the money that they pay to go to the Aviva, you have to remember that it is nice to walk around and shake hands, and even people that are down the front, we'll go to kids and get selfies or whatever. Just make an effort. Because we waited long enough, and an awful lot of people waited. Now, I don't know if they went around afterwards, but I mean, we were there for a good half hour after the game finished, and then we said, "Look, come on, we move."
Yeah, and especially with the Triple Crown because they won something. So,
well, Tom, I actually have a photo. Actually, I stayed for a good bit because myself and Sarah went, and we were waiting for everyone to kind of get out before we went in the crowd with her. And by that stage, I think it was about nearly 45, 50 minutes after the game, they were starting to congregate down in that bottom corner near the RTE box, not the north stand, the south stand side. A lot of the players were out around there then. I think there's 10 or 12 of them there. James Ryan was one of them. Andrew Porter was there, Andrew Conway, and a few others that could see him in the tracksuits. But it is a poor show that it takes an inexperienced.
Well, you were there 45 minutes.
Yeah, she shouldn't have to wait that long.
No, the younger people did it. The two lads did it, and I said Peter O'Mahony just showed his glasses that he's, that he walked along the whole way with his daughter and waved to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
you wouldn't expect any less.
Just have to remember these things. No.
Well, that's it, lads. I think we'll wrap up the wrap up the podcast there. It's been a
best
long,
of luck on Sunday, Tom.
Day. Yes, best of luck, Tom.
Thanks,
best
Johnny.
of luck to Kilkenny as
thanks,
well.
Steve. Yeah.
Myself and Johnny.
Sure, I'll give you a wave through the window.
Give us a wave.
Myself and Johnny be cooking inside in the outside broadcast unit on Sunday. You can look at we'll be sweating away there.
We like the ice creams in there.
And we'll be totally non-biased to any team.
Straight
down the middle.
Is this a cheap sale? But if anyone wants to bring refreshments to the KCLR booth on Sunday, they're more than welcome.
We're in the big blue fan with KCLR written all over the side of it. So.
I'm partial to enjoy a 99 or a Twister.
Johnny getting his orders in already.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Just there for anyone that's around there, a bit of spare time.
Absolutely. Lads, it's a great company as always. Tom Crotty from Carlow Rugby Club, Johnny Tobin from Tullow, and of course James Blanchfield from Kilkenny was on with us earlier. Best of luck to Kilkenny and Carlow in the Towns Cup quarter final on Sunday. We'll wrap it up there and we'll be back to you next week to talk about what happened.